Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome in to Two Guys, One Pod Fantasy Football Podcast. The dog days of Dynasty are upon us. I am the legendary ball knower, a.k.a. your favorite podcaster, a.k.a. Chev Sanders, a.k.a. Chev90. And today I've got one of my newest and closest confidants in the industry, Mike Anthony. I don't know how to describe him. I mean, he told me to describe him as the guy with the most amazing fade sport clips can afford, and also as the co-host of the Dynasty Dogs podcast and the Triple Threat podcast. Mike Anthony, brother, how are we doing today?
Doing good, man. I got to get that tattooed on me about the sport clips, because that's just like, this is, a Jim Ross type intro by you. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talk quite a bit. We're talking ball all day long in the Discord, in the wards of the wardlings, the super secret probation chat. And so, I mean, when we were talking about, kind of going over some blue chip assets, some buy sells, what does it take to acquire some of these guys? It's like, man, why don't you come on the podcast and talk about some of this with me? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go over what it would take, or, kind of where you land on some of these blue chip dynasty assets. We're going to go over 2 quarterbacks, 2 receivers, and 2 running backs. The running backs, I'll go ahead. Spoiler alert, guys. We're going to be on opposite sides of this deal, because I will not tolerate the slander that was being slandered upon the slanderization of my player. And it forced me to slander a player that I like, and I don't like slandering players that I like. So we're about to get into it. So do you have anything you want to say before we enter into discussion and the tearing of garments and gnashing of teeth over arguing about a fake game that's played on spreadsheets, brother?
Yeah, we're going to try to keep this as civil as possible when we get to one of these conversations, because you had me going in the middle of the gym during our conversation via text messages. I was like, I need to stop doing this, or I'm going to start throwing weights around that I can't afford to break anything in this gym.
Well, I mean, I told you what I told you, and I said, go set your PR off that. So yeah, no, it's good. But I mean, we're going to have a lot of fun today, man. I'm really excited about it. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the quarterbacks? You want to start with the receivers? Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the quarterbacks. Because that is like in Superflex leagues, that is like the most important position.
And ironically enough, we're in the startup right now, right? And would you like to tell the people how you started your draft off?
So I got Jalen Hurts at the 1-8, right? Which is just super nice value to me, to be honest with you, to get one of the fantasy assets in the quarterback position. Then I got Caleb Williams at the 2-9, which in my mind, I never thought I was going to see him there, to be honest. After everything that the Bears have done this offseason when it comes to getting him talent and getting him protection, because the dude took 68 sacks last year, almost up to a giggity sack amount. They did the things they needed to do to get Caleb right. And to get him at the 2-9 when he was the 101 last year just feels like, the greatest day of my life.
So we both assumed that there would be, we both were in the camp that, Caleb Williams is a very highly regarded, blue chip asset of a prospect, and he did nothing to dissuade us from that. Now you could say things like, oh, well, his deep ball percentage wasn't very good. And, honestly, most of his stats came in garbage time, and he wasn't, I don't know that Ben Johnson's really going to be able to manage a quarterback like him because he doesn't play from the pocket, and all the stupid things that you could possibly imagine saying, you could say about Caleb Williams. But at the end of the day, he's got Ben Johnson. He's got all the weapons. They went out and upgraded the O-line, and now Caleb Williams is probably, I would say, he's at the forefront of the 2024 quarterback class in terms of guys that are projected to break out. So, I mean, you would agree with that, right?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, 20 TDs and 6 INTs with rush for 489 yards on a bad season is a good season for a lot of quarterbacks. And I know how you said the Ben Johnson conversation. Everyone and their mother wanted Ben Johnson as their coach until he went to the Bears. It's like, oh, I don't know if he can do it. Okay, it was like, come on, guys, like we got to pick a side here.
I don't know if he could do it. I don't know if he could do it with the number 1 overall pick, the Heisman winner, who compares favorably to Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes in terms of the way that he plays the game. I don't know that Ben Johnson, he should go somewhere like Jacksonville. Guys, shut up. Okay? Shut up with that nonsense. I'm not having it. Like, what are we doing? Why do we have to try to be the smartest guy in the room with this thing? We're talking, I mean, you're hearing the horror stories of what it was like to be coached by Shane Waldron and whatever that idiot's name, Eberflus. Eberflus.
Rich calls him Fleeberflus.
Yeah, Fleeberflus. Trash can Matt, whatever you want to call him. He's terrible. And so Caleb Williams overcame that. Let me throw a couple things at you. I don't know if you already know these, but we're talking about Caleb Williams, number 2 overall in air yards last year with 4,500, number 7 in money throws. This is wild to me because I was told, okay, that Caleb Williams just wasn't very good. 562 pass attempts as a rookie, 81 deep ball attempts. That was first in the league. I didn't know these off the top of my head. Now I'm looking on Player Profiler at these stats, but yeah, I didn't know these off the top of my head. And you already brought up the touchdown to interception ratio. So do you feel like there's a way for him to enter into that elite tier? Do you think he could be a an early first round pick in the same range as Joe Burrow or something like that next year?
Yeah, for sure. Because like you mentioned some of the stuff in Player Profiler, I got 10th in big time throw rate according to PFF. So this is all the big time throws that you need, the money throws, the big time throws, the things you need to be able to do at the NFL level to be, one of the most successful quarterbacks in the league. Now, you forgot to mention also 5th all time in Bears passing yards, which is crazy to think about as a rookie. Can he, upgrade his talent level to be in that top 5, top 7 conversation? To me, absolutely. You built around him. You got Luther Burden, who I think is going to take the Amon-Ra St. Brown role like the Lions had. And then you got Roma Dunze, who is probably one of my favorite wide receivers in the league as an ex-boundary guy. And then you have DJ Moore, who's just can do it all and will do it all. So, listen, I think it's all signs point to him being a top 5, top 7 option in our Dynasty rankings coming soon.
Yeah, this jumped out to me. We're both on the same page as far as how he's going to ascend. They're following the playbook on how to groom a rookie quarterback and set them up for success. That's the exciting part is we're not going to have to go through another Justin Fields era where his best receiver is Darnell Mooney. He came in the door. Now, one thing about Caleb Williams, he was 297 yards away from the all-time single-season Bears franchise passing record for a season. Not for rookies, for everyone, for forever.
forever, which is crazy because the Bears are one of the longest tenured football teams in the NFL, or they are the longest. They have to be close, right?
Right. So, yeah, it to me, like there's so much room for growth here. There's so much ability to ascend that there's just I getting him at the 2.9 for you. I was a little upset because I was hoping that he would slide a little bit more. That draft that we're in right now, courtesy of the FF universe. Shout out to the Discord there. That draft that we're in is a really interesting one because, there's guys hoarding quarterbacks, and there's guys who are eschewing the quarterback position, pretty much me, and, just trying to acquire skill positions. And it's interesting because these are all people who are really plugged into the Dynasty space. For the most part, I don't know everybody. I'm assuming they're all really plugged into the Dynasty space. So I'm maybe giving them more credit than I should. But just seeing the different team builds and, in Superflex, quarterbacks are the lifeblood. Having an elite quarterback and having that positional advantage is almost better. It's almost better than having a positional advantage anywhere else because those guys are going to go crazy and lift your team's ceiling to a place where if you don't have those, you almost can't get to, right?
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
For sure. And I hate how you brought up the whole hoarding quarterbacks thing because this is not my typical build, to be honest with you. But I had a little bit of a scare last year with having Jordan Love, Tua, and Drake Maye, and I was playing, quarterback carousel between Maye and Tua getting hurt every other week. So I was like, man, I really start thinking about 3 quarterbacks more often because it's a pain in the balls when one of them goes down.
Man, listen. I understood your pain. I was in a league. Where I had Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, and I lost Jalen Hurts, and we had Brock Purdy, but then Brock Purdy, I believe either Lamar got hurt or Brock. So I was rocking out with Brock Purdy and then a running back in my super flex. So that'll make you want to 1000% just have 5 or 6 quarterbacks at your beck and call. But let's move on to our other rookie quarterback. Did you want to go over anything else with Caleb Williams before we did move on though?
No, I think you need to go out and buy Caleb now because even in startup drafts at the 2.9, he's become probably the cheapest you're ever going to get him. So get on it now. That's what I would recommend. I would test the feelers out there on Caleb in the trade market.
Yeah, I'm gonna run over a couple trades. We'll keep it real simple and brief here. This is Dynasty Daddy. 2 quarterbacks.
Great website.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you don't have access to Dynasty Daddy, you're cutting yourself short as a Dynasty player. I'm gonna rapid fire these. Which side would you be on? 2 quarterbacks, 12 teams, start 10, full PPR. Bijan Robinson or Caleb Williams?
Oh, man. Oh, God. Bijan.
Okay. Caleb Williams or Ashton Genty? 2 QB, start 10, full PPR. Okay. Caleb Williams or CJ Stroud in a 107 this year?
Oh. I mean, what do you put a name to that one? You want to say Quinshon Judkins probably at the 1-7? So Judkins and Stroud.
Or could even.
I'm going to take Caleb's upside.
All right. And then last one, Caleb Williams and Garrett Wilson or Josh Allen?
Oh, Josh Allen.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what's actually going down. I mean, I know some people aren't that hip to what's going on or think like, oh, that would never happen in my league. Well, it's happening in somebody's league. So let's move on to our next quarterback here, Drake Maye. Now we both said that like, hey, we're not super duper like there's no stance to take here in talking about these guys per se, because I'm not staunchly in the camp of one or the other. They both had great rushing upside. They both were thrust into less than ideal situations, which you will be as the number 1 and number 3 picks of a draft. And they both performed admirably in my eyes. So what do you see? I mean, in that draft that we're in, I believe, didn't Drake Maye go just before?
210.
Just before Caleb?
He went 210.
Yeah, right after.
Not right after.
So they're right there, neck and neck.
Yeah, for sure. So originally I had the 2-5 pick, right? And I was like, I really want Caleb here, but I can move back, get some capital, and probably take Maye at the 2-9, right? So that was my actual plan in my brain, was to take Maye at 2-9. But then when I saw Caleb fall to 2-9, I was like, oh, well, this ended up working out the way I kind of originally wanted it. So I still really believe in Drake Maye. You mentioned the rushing upside. He had 421 yards rushing he didn't start till week 6, by the way. I think people forget that. He finished the year as QB 14 at 16.8 points per game. So you got to remember, as a rookie coming out after 6 weeks not seeing the field and then putting up 16.8, I can't say that word. Trajectory is already pointing up, especially with the talent they gave him in the offseason. You got Will Campbell drafted, Travion Henderson drafted, Mr. 2.8 himself, Kyle Williams drafted. Then they brought in an alpha type wide receiver. Hey, there you go. Alpha type wide receiver and Stephon Diggs. While I think Diggs probably has lost a step after tearing an ACL. I know a lot of the videos are coming out probably saying otherwise, but I'm not fully there yet. But you're giving a guy like Drake Maye, Stephon Diggs, he could just be the safety blanket. He could be the first choice option and let guys like Kyle Williams and Javon Baker, I just want to throw that one out there, eat.
Listen. We don't have to rehash the now infamous moment about Kyle Williams. I mean, when I'm right, I don't have to tell you I'm right all the time. I just tell you about what happened. So I love everything that New England did. Again, we talk about the protocol that there is for rookie quarterbacks. Now, one interesting thing that I want to bring up, Mike, is you've mentioned Stephon Diggs, you mentioned Kyle Williams.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Let me ask you this. When Stephon Diggs, now this was a much younger man, not coming off an ACL tear as Stephon Diggs, we saw Josh Allen ascend to, Hall of Fame, elite level, all-time greatness from a quarterback perspective when Stephon Diggs arrived in Buffalo, right? So do you think that this could be his arrival here in New England 5 years later could signal the same thing for Drake Maye?
I lost you there briefly. It keeps disconnected.
You're fine.
Again.
I'll redo it.
Okay.
Did you hear me though? Or you couldn't hear me at all?
I heard the bringing in Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen taking the next step, and then it went out right there.
Now, all right, so I'll redo it. So do you think that, with Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, they proved to be a lethal duo. That pairing caused Josh Allen to ascend into fantasy Valhalla. He's an elite all-time option at the quarterback position in terms of the points that he's put up with Stephon Diggs, as his go-to guy. Do you think that Stephon Diggs' arrival in New England signals that same thing for Drake Maye this year?
So obviously, I don't think Stephon Diggs is the same player he was. What was that? Probably 5 or 6 years ago now. If I were to just do that math off the top of my head, obviously he's not that guy. But they brought in Kyle Williams, we talked about, round 3 pick, who can take some of the edge off of what pause of Stephon Diggs. Hunter Henry was a great safety blanket for Drake Maye last year. They brought in Travion Henderson. I would, is it a hot take to say the New England offense with Stephon Diggs and Kyle and Trey and Hunter and all those guys a little bit better than what Josh Allen had his year with Stephon Diggs, like as a unit? You know what I mean? Who did Josh really have outside of Stephon Diggs? If I can't remember.
I mean, you had
besides maybe Dawson.
Yeah, you
Knox.
had Dawson Knox, who's the red zone weapon. You had Cole Beasley for stretches, and then you had Gabe Davis, who rose to all like playoff fame and won people a bunch of DFS because of the playoff game against the Chiefs where he scored 4 touchdowns, and then never did anything else after that.
Just got cut too. So I think it's pretty fair to say, as a complement of weapons, it might be better than what Buffalo had at that point. I don't know if you would agree with that.
I think that New England's weapons at this point with Travion. We didn't even mention Travion being there. Travion, Kyle Williams.
Yeah, I did not leave Travion out of this conversation.
Yeah.
Hell no. That's my guy right there.
So with all those weapons, with Travion, with Ramondre, with Pop Douglas, with the Booty Warrior, with Stephon Diggs, with Kyle Williams, with Hunter Henry, I think that this just screams breakout for Drake Maye.
Mm-hmm.
And
mm-hmm. And I like how you brought up the Josh Allen stuff, because that was the comp. I called him love child of Josh Allen and Carson Wentz, right? Because if Carson Wentz would have got out of his way, he could have been, one of the guys we're talking about in the top part of the Dynasty QB landscape.
Absolutely.
Right? But Drake Maye has that ability in him to make those like, oh shit, how did he get out of that? How did he make that throw? How did he do things like that? And then he's got the Josh Allen size and rushing upside as well. So listen, you're 100% right. The breakout is coming. I don't think he'll get to the level of what Caleb's going to do, because the weapons are far greater in Chicago right now. But if you want to talk about a guy who's going to take a next step this year and then possibly ascend to that the following year, we didn't even mention that guy. We didn't mention was Mike Vrabel, right? If Mike Vrabel as the head coach, he's going to get the best out of all of his players, and that's probably even the most important part of this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean he's going to add a toughness, an element of toughness to this team that people saw what he was able to cobble together with one of the most injured rosters in NFL history, leading that team to the 1 seed without Derrick Henry for the majority of that season. So he's a great coach, and I think that that's going to lead them to winning football games, which will then lead them to more prominence and more eyes on Drake Maye. But I mean, from a dynasty perspective, we've known what we were looking at for a long time, and now it's just kind of bearing itself out. So let's transition though. Let's go to the receivers. I think we're gonna kind of agree a little bit on these. We've got the guy that everyone, I personally view him as an elite alpha tier receiver, not quite in that CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson mold, because those guys are all guys who have finished as ones at their position. But with Captain Durag at the helm, I think that this 160 targets that he got could turn into some real nasty work. So let's talk about Drake London. How do you feel about Drake London? Where do you see him? Now, I was able to get him at the 3-2, I believe, in that startup that we're in.
Yeah. Curious with you.
Yeah. Good. I love being hated like that. So how do you feel about Drake London going into 2025? What's kind of your outlook, and what do you feel like? What do you feel like people are missing, or if we're missing something when it comes to a guy that's just everything that you want in a number one wide receiver.
The thing is like I've been saying buy Drake Maye for this is the second year in a row now because people are not catching up. I was trying to buy him after they got Kirk Cousins in there because I thought, Kirk would be something. And then I was really interested when they brought Michael Penix in there. So we're talking about a guy from week 16 through 18 with Michael Penix. He was first in points per game with 23.1, an 8-point jump per game from Kirk. So he was at 15 something with Kirk Cousins. Was thrown to at least 34% of his routes in that span. Michael Penix. He is the alpha wide receiver in that room. There's nobody close to him at a talent level on that Atlanta pass catching besides Bijan, but he's a running back, so we ain't going to really count that too much. But we're talking about a 34% target share in that of his 34% targeting share when he runs routes is amazing, is what we want in our pass catchers. He's got the prototypical alpha size at 6'4", and we're talking about a dude who had 100 receptions last year, and people are just like, it's Drake London. Nobody really cares. It's odd.
It's so strange because he's going into he's commanded the targets. He's had to function as the number one in a broken offense. And then finally, he gets competent offensive coordinator play, competent quarterback play, and he does exactly what you want from a guy that has those things in place. And everybody's like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, there were, I sent the screenshot of the trade that I made in a league that I took over in an orphan, where I sent Travis Hunter and Travis Etienne straight up for Drake Maye by himself. I regret nothing. I feel like this is an opportunity where you don't have to break the bank to acquire an elite at the position. And so I don't really understand what the hesitation is in terms of why we aren't viewing him as one of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. I think me and you both traded for Drake London on that same day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I ended up giving up a little bit more. Well, I think it actually kind of evens out, if I'm not mistaken, because it just depends on what you value Travis Hunter at this point. But I sent George Pickens projected late first and a third, I believe. Maybe it was a second. I would have to go back and look for Drake London. That is the type of belief that I have in him. Because, one Drake once said, like a sprained ankle, boy, ain't nothing to play with. And I don't think Drake London has anything to play with.
Not at all, man. Like to me, like I said, I always will have to do penance in terms of, where I was at on Drake London going into 2024 as to in comparison to where I am now. And so I'll admit that I was not in on him at all. But, with this being the case, like there's no way for me to sit up and say that, man, I can't, I don't, he's one of the guys that I feel like could finish number one overall at the position. And you don't have the opportunity to acquire those guys. So why are we not treating it that way?
And people, I don't know if you agree with this. Drake Maye, we talked about him a little bit ago, and Michael Penix were my two favorite quarterbacks in that draft class.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
No. I'm saying like I'm talking like last year, my two favorite quarterbacks were Drake Maye and Michael Penix. So Michael Penix ends up in Atlanta, right? A guy who can make every single throw imaginable, right? All the deep ball, all the middle of the field stuff. Drake London is the perfect guy for that, right? So I was circling it back. I'm sorry, but I think Michael Penix elevates Drake London to that level that we're talking about, even more so from just the talent aspect of Drake London.
Oh yes, I'm 100% in the camp with you. I think that Drake London, Michael Penix with Drake London, Captain Durag, as I like to call him. I think that that's a pairing that's gonna feed families, a stack that's gonna feed families for a long, long time. So let's move on to our next guy. Now, I was not as bullish on this guy as some others are, and maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe I just want to be a little cautiously optimistic. Maybe I'm afraid that he got some target competition in a Hall of Fame caliber receiver, even though he's a little bit older. But where do you find yourself on Puka Nacua going into 2025? Like,
so you know what's crazy? If you go back in my tweets, and you can dig through them if you want to. I loved Puka Nacua coming out of the draft that year. I didn't see this kind of what we're talking about right now in his future, but I thought he'd be a very solid wide receiver. But I digress. We talked about his historic rookie season, right? And then obviously it got broken by Bowers, but he had a historic rookie season. And then per PFF, he had another historical type season this year. His 37.1% target rate last season was the highest among wide receivers at least 75 routes run in the last 19 years. His 3.56 yards per route run ranked third behind Steve Smith in 2008 and Tyreek Hill in 2004. This dude was doing historical shit back-to-back years. I think Devontae Adams is going to be great. I think the Rams offense in general is going to be very good. Puka Nacua is Matt Stafford's guy, and we've seen it year after year. We've seen it 2 years in a row now where Matt Stafford has Puka Nacua's number, and I'm all in on Puka again this year, even with Devontae Adams there.
Okay, all right. That's so it's nasty work because he was a number 5 cornerstone dynasty asset for me coming into 2025. You know, he averaged 18.8 fantasy points a game last year. You mentioned the yards per route run. In games where he basically played 9 games and earned 99 targets. In those nine games where he played over 30% of the snaps. I think here it is: 98 targets, 74 receptions, 945 yards, and 3 touchdowns in basically 9 games. And he's incredible at the catch point. He's a yak monster. We just got to get him. We just got to keep him healthy.
That's exactly it. I'm glad you brought that up because he always feels banged up every single other game, which is crazy. But he still plays through it for the most part until he got suspended a game for like throwing hands at somebody. I forget what that was.
Yeah, that was the Seattle game.
It really is.
I think they said like $4 million or something came in on his receiving line for that game, and he got thrown out like the 3rd play of the game.
Fucking the bets win again.
Yeah, like it's diabolical. But yeah, Puka's one of the more intriguing ones to me because we've got the wide receiver kingmaker at quarterback. We've got Matthew Stafford at quarterback, and to me that's nothing to sneeze at. Like we saw him at the helm for Calvin Johnson's historic all-time yardage record breaking season. Then we saw him at the helm for Cooper Kupp's Triple Crown, and then we saw him at the helm for Puka Nacua's record-breaking season. So now with Devontae Adams, like, what are we? Why you can't be willing to fade Puka? Like, you roll coverage to Devontae Adams or you cloud coverage to Devontae Adams. Guess what? Puka's going to be free. If you decide to double cover Puka, you're leaving Devontae Adams one-on-one with a corner that's probably not your best corner. I feel like that's not gonna work out. It's not gonna benefit you at all. So I just can't. I haven't been bullish enough, and that's something that I'm gonna have to correct on my end because I think that this is 11 targets a game. and that was with Cooper Kupp, fan favorite, Rams Ring of Honor guy, most likely in the frame. So adding another guy that's similar, with a more well-rounded skill set, just frees Puka up more, and Sean McVay can get the ball to his studs. So yeah, I think I've got to do some soul searching to correct that, honestly.
Yeah, I think we all have those guys that, like, yeah, they're good. They're really good, but, like, am I right on my evaluations? Like, we talked about earlier with Brian Thomas. For me, was one of those guys. Obviously, I was way off. Puka, probably one of those guys for you. But Puka, for me, is just, where did he go in our startup draft? Actually, now that you
I want to say probably like 2.6 or 2.3.
And he like the wide receiver 6, I think, or something like that?
2.7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he was a wide receiver 6 off the board, which feels just right. You know what I mean? Not too high, not too low. Like, I think that's like right in the range where I would have taken him as well. But I really wanted a quarterback there. So I like that, spot for him. And I think he can do it again, man. Like, you mentioned it. Cooper Kupp was still there. Was he as effective? No, but like, we saw what Matthew Stafford, did with Cooper Kupp and fed him a lot. And Puka was still able to eat. I can't get enough of Puka Nacua at this point.
No, I think that I can't get past that, dude. I need to. I'm about to start all my best ball manias and stuff, and I think that that's going to be a stack that I target because of the fact that it's going to be much, much, much cheaper than it should be. Stafford's going a lot later. Puka's going early, but you can pretty much get Puka at any point in the back half of the first round, and then get Stafford way later. So yeah, I need to correct myself on Puka. Now, we've got all the niceties out of the way. We've covered so far Drake Maye, Drake London, Caleb Williams, Puka Nacua. Now we're gonna go to the running back position, and we are diametrically opposed, in complete opposition, oil and water, Crips and Bloods. We're on two totally opposite ends of the spectrum when we're talking about these two players. So I want you to lay out the case for your guy, rookie running back, first round selection of the Los Angeles Chargers, Omarion Hampton. Tell me why you feel like this is the correct answer here.
You heard my dog barking in the background. He is supporting me in this case. Just want to let you know that. You talk about the first round draft capital for him. We know the what's the word? The hit rate among running backs taken in the first round is pretty damn high. We're talking about a guy who is 226 pounds, 221 pounds at 6 foot, ran a 4.46 40. I can't get past the fact that you would rather have a guy who's 5'6" and 15 pounds soaking wet into Devon Achane over Omarion Hampton. Listen, we're talking about you want to talk about the pass catching stuff at Achane, that's perfectly fine. Omarion Hampton is
just so that we're clear here. Devon Achane is 5'9", 192 pounds, and led the position at running back, led the position in passes caught in 2024. But
Discord booted me on that one while you were spewing your Achane stuff, so I missed it.
Oh, no. I covered because I was trying to cover because no, you're good. Fault. I was filling the air before you pop back in. So start over with Omarion Hampton.
But did I meant the 221 pound came in?
Just redo it, and I'll cut what we have, and then you'll see. It'll work. I'll make it work.
Okay, I got you. All right. So we talked about the first round capital with Omarion Hampton, which the hit rates for running backs taken in the first round is extremely high. We got the dream landing spot in reality. This is a place we wanted all of our running backs to go. And if anyone tells you differently because of Najee Harris, they're fucking lying to themselves, right? We got an upgrade in offensive line. They took Joe Alt last year. They have Slater on the other side. They got Mekhi Becton in the offseason from the Philadelphia Eagles. All signs point to Omarion Hampton being a RB1 this season right away. He can carry a full workload at that size. He's got the pass catching ability. We're talking about a guy who had 75 catches in college through 3 years. Yeah, his freshman year he had 5 receptions. He didn't get a whole lot of work. But then the next 2 years, we're talking about 32 and 20 some odd. So very good numbers as a pass catcher. We're talking about a guy who had 1,222 yards after contact, 73 missed tackles forced, 10th in all of college football, or all in that draft class, 26 carries of 15-plus yards or more, 4th of that draft class. I don't see a reason why you should have Achane over him. I can't get behind it, my friend.
Well, you can get behind it, or you can get run over by it. So,
good one. I like it.
So let me tell you why. So we're talking about, you alluded to the size of Devon Achane. I mean, he does come in at 5'9", 188 pounds. 4.32. You mentioned Omarion Hampton's 4.3 or 4.46 at 221 pounds. Devon Achane runs a 4.32. He led the position in 2024 with 78 receptions. Was I want to say second or third in actual yard. Oh, no. He led the position in yards with 592 at the running back position. And then he was 4th in weighted opportunities per game with 15 or 258.4 total weighted opportunities. I mean, and this is coming off of, the questions about him being able to handle a workload. He finished as the RB5 in 2024. So you're asking me why I would take Devon Achane over Omarion Hampton at this point? It's because I've seen him do it. I saw that he has the play caller to make sure that he's in advantageous positions. I mean, he was lining up in the slot. He was lining up just out wide. They were scheming him touches in addition to, I mean, he was only 22nd in the league in carries. Okay. And he finished 2nd in targets. So he's getting the more valuable touches in an offense. And he was at 1.96 yards per route run and 4th in routes run total for the position and 2nd in target share. So all of these things tell me that a guy with no backfield competition, there is no Najee Harris. And as you said earlier, if you're trying to convince yourself that Najee Harris is going to be a problem, if you're trying to convince yourself that Alexander Mattison and Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright are a threat to Devon Achane, get out of my face. Get out of my face.
I agree. I got to agree with you on that part. I'll give you that.
So you've got the weapons in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle where defenses can't just stack the box. And they did anyway, which led to him dropping off from a historic 7.8 yards per carry as a rookie down to let's check it out, 4.5 yards a carry. That's a tremendous drop off. 12 total touchdowns. That's a tremendous drop off from the 1 per game that he averaged last year. I mean, come on. Like, I don't have to have someone continually show me that they're good at American tackle football to believe they're good at American tackle football. All you got to do is show me that you're good, and I'm going to believe you.
Listen, I get it. Listen, I saw all the pass catching metrics you mentioned. The thing that bothers me the most about Devon Achane, and I mentioned the size, right, is that, and I know you're going to tell me he played 17 games last year. He also was banged up in several games last year, and he also lost snaps and quarters because of it. So let's not pretend like he played a full 17 games without any kind of injury concerns, because it did happen. Now, the other issue with him is, and I think is not talked about enough, is Tua. But Tua
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The thing that's not talked about enough is Tua's not playing, right? We got, when Devon Achane played without Tua last year, weeks 3, 4, 5, 7, 17, and 18, we're talking about an 8.8 game, which is solid. We're talking about a 5.9 game, not good. 2.7, not good. 10.5, decent. 5.8 again, not good. 18.10, which is very good. I'll give him that one. He's borderline not even flexible with some of those fucking numbers, right? I can't spend my draft capital. I can't spend my startup picks on a guy who I've got so many variables against when it comes to whether he's healthy, whether Tua is healthy. They're all pro tackle, retired this offseason, which I don't think is stated enough, and that's not good for Tua as well. I can't buy into Devon Achane at all.
Well, that just means that there will be more for me. Now, I do acknowledge wholeheartedly the fact that, yeah, when Tua goes out, Devon Achane is one of the most mercurial players that are known to man. However, when Tua's in the lineup, I think Devon Achane averaged about 23.5 fantasy points per game. So if I have that type of upside and I'm not having to spend a first, second, or third round pick on a guy like that in a startup, yeah, give me Achane all day, twice on Sunday. We're hoping that Omarion Hampton gives us one season like Devon Achane just gave us. And I'm going to side with the 23-year-old who's already given it to us, who's still in the same ecosystem where we're not having to pound him. We're not having to pound him between the tackles. No diddy. I mean, the 63.2% snap share was only 16th in the league, and he gave you RB5 numbers. If somehow or another he's able to surpass.
Hold on. Time out. I can't let you say the snap share shit after I heard you spew all that about Bucky Irving not seeing more than 50%, but still was much more of a better ball carrier than Devon Achane. So we can't use the snap share.
Yeah, the Bucks O line greater than sign.
That's fair. I'll agree with that.
The Dolphins O line and Devon Achane still averaged 4.6 yards a carry. Now, before the Dolphins lost both of their offensive guards in 2023, Devon Achane averaged 7.8 yards a carry. So he's still able to create yards, even though this O-line isn't as good. And like I said before, the thing with Devon Achane for me is the fact that he led the position in receptions, and he had 87 targets. If you're telling me that this guy's going to get 87 targets, I don't necessarily care how many touches that he's getting.
Okay.
We had 51 red zone touches last year, which is, it cracks the top 20, but this is a guy who can score from anywhere. And this is an offense that's being geared towards Devon Achane or bust. So as long as Tua's there, which Tua's got a $200 million contract, as long as he doesn't get blasted in the upside down, he's going to be there. I'm all Devon Achane all the time on this side of the argument. And you can tell me more about why you like being wrong.
Everybody's got the right to say the wrong things every now and again. I'm going to ask you some of the running backs that were taken around him in the startup, and you tell me who you'd rather have. All right. Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I'm taking Achane all day, twice on Sunday.
Jonathan Taylor.
Seat's getting a little warm, but I'll still go Achane. He's younger and he's in a better offense.
That's craziness to me. The guy who I've seen you on snippets on TikTok saying he makes you want to go do man shit, Quinshon Judkins. All right. I mean, Breece Hall.
Ooh, okay. I agree. Okay. We're just going to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I got it. I'll go Breece Hall.
Okay, good. I thought you were going to say the other way, and I was about to. I can't do that. I think Breece Hall takes back what we thought of him.
I fully agree. I mean, you know, that list I sent you. The list I sent you is my notes from an article I wrote for Player Profiler called Dynasty Cornerstone Assets. Breece Hall was my number 7 cornerstone dynasty asset, and Achane's my number 8. I still believe in Breece. You know, we've talked at length before about how I'm a little nervous about the contract situation, but then I was reminded we felt this kind of same way about Saquon, and he went to a better situation. And is there another situation that's worse than the Jets that Breece Hall would likely go to? And I can't get to a situation that's worse. I can only see it getting better. So if they let him walk, it's wheels up. And then you're in that territory where he's a 24-year-old on a second contract, and I'm going to be bricked up in the cement aisle about it.
For sure. I could definitely see, you know, them moving on for him. And, you know, even if they brought in a tackle in this draft. I'm not even going to try to say his name. The dude from Mizzou.
Oh, Armand Mimbu.
You know, offensive line play. Yeah, offensive line play is not my Matt forte. Let's be honest here. But when I was watching some of the draft coverage on him and people are comping him to Jason Peters, my ears perk up. And my ears perk up for Breece Hall in that situation. So, you know, you also got to account for the fact that Justin Fields, yes, he's going to take cover. He's going to take rushes away from him, but defenses also have to account that Justin Fields could tuck it and run. So that could open up some things for Breece Hall as well.
Yes, I fully agree. I mean, you've seen it play out now. You saw what Saquon Barkley being added to that Eagles run game, you know, what that did. You saw Derrick Henry average 5.9 yards per carry at 30 years old. With Lamar Jackson. And so now if Justin Fields returns to Chicago Justin Fields and he's able to run, I mean, that only enhances Breece's chances of being able to hit home runs and be more effective in the run game. So yeah, I'm all over Breece Hall. I was a little upset that I missed him in this draft, but I was trying to stack as many cornerstone players in that first salvo of picks that I could, and it worked out, but it didn't work out because I missed on a few of the guys that I could have got a little bit later. But it's all good.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted Breece Hall in that range too, but somebody took him right before my pick. But I don't know how we got to Breece when we were talking Achane, but I'm glad we both agree on that one about taking Breece over him.
No, you asked me if who I would take. Do you got anybody else?
Oh yeah, duh. I forgot how the hell I got there. My fault.
Yeah. Anybody else you want to ask me about?
I mean, there's a couple dudes after that. Travion Henderson. I know where you're going to go.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the Caleb Johnson. I know where you're going to go on that one. I will say the next one, Kyron Williams. I probably would take Achane over him right now. And then there's Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, it's not close for those last two. I mean, if we were talking about 22 or 23-year-old Derrick Henry, I would take Derrick Henry.
Oh,
but
sure.
I mean, him being 31, I mean, he's probably going to give you some, massive RB1 seasons. He just missed becoming the first running back in NFL history to rush for 2,000 yards twice. And so, I mean, I feel like he could very easily, he might regress from a yardage perspective, but he could pop something like 25 touchdowns or something crazy like that because he's a Hall of Fame talent, but that's a different story for a different day. We wanted to talk to you about some blue chip assets and kind of what their outlook was for 2025, some like maybe a few trades to go out and acquire those guys. Mike, before we get out of here, tell us where we can find all of your work, your social handles, and a little bit more about your Discord and everything you got going on.
You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Dog Mike. I'm always there to conversate messages. You can at me. You can, send gifts my way. I might giggle at them. You can find our Fantasy Football Universe Discord on the Twitter page as well. You can find me on the Dynasty Dogs podcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all that happy horse shit, other, platforms. Then we got the Triple Threat podcast that's on the Dynasty DNA podcast network. You can find them on Spotify, Apple as well. I'm pretty much everywhere and nowhere all in the same time.
Hey man, and you know where you can find me. I'm in the comments. I'm on the Twitter Xverse at Chev90. Just ping me, but don't tell me that you said something first when I said it first. So with that being said, we're gonna get out of here. I can't thank you enough for coming on. We're gonna have to do this again here soon. If you're listening to this, please like, download, comment, subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform that you're listening on. I'm Legendary Ball Knower. This has been another episode of Two Guys, One Pod, and we are out.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.